You slept 8 hours last night, maybe even 9, and yet here you are dragging yourself through the morning like you haven't slept in days. Your alarm goes off and your first thought isn't good morning, it's why does this feel exactly the same as yesterday? Here's what nobody tells you. 8 hours of sleep doesn't guarantee that you'll feel rested, because rest isn't just about time, it's about what your brain actually does with that time, and whether your biology is even set up to receive it. We're living in a culture that's obsessed with sleep quantity. Apps track your hours, doctors tell you to get your 8, but the conversation stops right there, at the number. And that's exactly why millions of people are waking up exhausted despite technically getting enough sleep. Welcome to Calm Science, where we take the things your body is quietly doing without your permission and we explain them in plain, honest English. No wellness fluff, no miracle hacks, just the actual science of how you work. Today, we're going inside the biology of tiredness. We're going to talk about a molecule called adenosine, something called sleep debt, and the reason why your brain can trick you into feeling unrested even when your body technically got the hours it needed. By the end of this episode, you'll understand why the number on your sleep tracker isn't the whole story and what actually is. Let's start somewhere familiar. You've probably had nights where you slept maybe 5 or 6 hours and woke up feeling weirdly okay, sharp even. And then you've had nights, full, uninterrupted 8-hour nights, where you woke up feeling like you'd been dragged through concrete. Sound familiar? Most people blame stress or their mattress or the fact that Mercury is in retrograde. But the real answer is sitting inside your brain right now, quietly doing its job whether you understand it or not. Here's the basic picture. Your brain has a built-in sleep pressure system. Think of it like a gauge that fills up over the course of the day. Every hour you're awake, that gauge climbs, and the molecule doing the climbing is called adenosine. It's a byproduct of your brain burning energy. And as it accumulates, it sends one increasingly loud message to your nervous system. It is time to stop. By late evening, if you haven't had caffeine masking the signal, that adenosine pressure is so high that falling asleep feels almost involuntary. Your eyes get heavy, your thoughts slow down. You're not choosing to sleep. Your brain is pulling you under. That's adenosine doing exactly what it's supposed to do. And during sleep, ideally deep sleep, your brain clears that adenosine out. Think of it as a biological rinse cycle. When it works properly, you wake up with a cleared system, low adenosine, and a brain that's ready to fire. But here's where it gets interesting and a little unsettling. The adenosine system is only one half of the equation. Your brain also runs on something called the circadian clock, a separate parallel system that operates on roughly a 24-hour cycle, controlled by a tiny region in your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Yes, that's a real thing, and it matters more than most people realize. These two systems, the adenosine pressure system and the circadian clock, are supposed to work together, but they can fall out of sync. And when they do, you can sleep 8 full hours and still wake up feeling completely wrecked. Here's a concrete example. Imagine you stay up until 2 a.m. on a Friday. You're out or scrolling or watching something, and then you sleep until 10 a.m. That's 8 hours. On paper, you did everything right, but your circadian clock was expecting you to be awake at 6 or 7 a.m. So your body had already started ramping up cortisol, the hormone that signals morning alertness, hours before you actually woke up.
By the time your alarm went off at 10, your cortisol curve was already descending. You missed the window, and you woke up in a biological valley instead of a peak. This is called circadian misalignment, and it's one of the most common reasons people feel exhausted even after a long sleep. The timing was off. Your brain's clock and your actual wake-up time were running on completely different schedules.
Now layer in one more concept, sleep debt. This one is sneaky. Sleep debt isn't just about one bad night. Research from the National Institutes of Health shows that even losing just 1 hour of sleep per night over a stretch of days creates a cumulative deficit that compounds. And what makes it worse is that you stop feeling it after a while. Your body adapts to the tiredness. You think you're fine, but your reaction time, your cognitive performance, your emotional regulation, they're all quietly degrading beneath your awareness. Scientists call this subjective sleepiness decoupling. You feel like you've adjusted. You haven't. You're just numb to how tired you actually are. That gap between how rested you feel and how rested you actually are is one of the most underappreciated problems in modern sleep science. And there's one more layer that almost nobody talks about. Even if your timing is right and your adenosine cleared properly, there's still a variable that can quietly ruin everything: sleep architecture. Not all sleep is equal. Your brain cycles through distinct stages across the night: light sleep, deep slow-wave sleep, and REM sleep. Each one serves a different function.
Deep, slow-wave sleep is where your brain does most of its physical restoration, cellular repair, immune function, memory consolidation. REM sleep is where emotional processing happens, where your brain essentially rehearses and rewires the experiences of the day. If you're waking up mid-cycle, or if stress or alcohol or late-night screen use is suppressing your deep sleep stages, you can sleep for 8 hours and still get almost none of what actually makes sleep restorative. Alcohol is a perfect example. People often use it to wind down before bed, and it does make you fall asleep faster. But alcohol suppresses REM sleep, fragments the sleep cycle, and causes micro-awakenings you don't even remember. You wake up thinking you slept through the night. Your data says 8 hours, but what your brain actually got was closer to 4 or 5 hours of real functional sleep. So when you feel tired after a full night, it may not be that you slept too little. It may be that your adenosine didn't fully clear, or your circadian window was missed, or the architecture of your sleep was compromised in ways that the clock on your wall would never show you. And understanding that distinction, that's where things start to change.
Here's what I want you to sit with for a moment. We live in a world that tells us productivity is the measure of a good day, and somewhere along the way we started treating sleep like a checkbox. 8 hours, done, box ticked, back to the grind. But your brain doesn't run on checkboxes. It runs on rhythms. Ancient, biological rhythms that were never designed for alarm clocks or artificial light or the 24-hour news cycle. And when we ignore those rhythms, when we stay up too late, sleep in inconsistently, drink to relax, scroll until we crash, we don't just lose sleep, we lose the restorative depth that sleep is supposed to deliver. Feeling tired isn't always a sign that you need more hours. Sometimes, often, it's a sign that you need better alignment, that your body is asking not for quantity, but for conditions. Darkness, consistency, stillness, the biological cues that tell your brain it's safe now. You can let go. You can actually rest. You are not broken because you wake up tired. You're not weak. You're not lazy. You're a human nervous system that was built for a world that no longer quite exists, and you're doing the best you can inside of one that moves too fast, stays too bright, and never fully stops. The science isn't telling you to try harder, it's telling you to try differently.
So here's my question for you, and I genuinely want to know. When you think about your own sleep, is it more about the hours or more about how you feel when you wake up? And if those two things don't match, what do you think is getting in the way? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one. And honestly, some of the most interesting insights I've gotten on this topic have come straight from this community. If this perspective helped you think about your energy and rest in a new way, if it gave you even one idea worth sitting with, come join us at Calm Science. Hit subscribe, turn on the bell, and let's keep building this together. One quiet, science-backed conversation at a time. I'll see you in the next episode.